All right, let's talk about the animal kingdom. We're about to take a closer look at some stuff you think you know and maybe challenge a few of those common facts we all grew up with. I mean, you've heard these things your whole life, right? You see them in cartoons, you learn them in school, and pretty soon they just become these undeniable truths. We just kind of accept them without even thinking about it. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Mice loving cheese, a T-Rex that can't see you if you don't move, ostriches burying their heads in the sand when they get scared, a wolf howling at the moon. I mean, these are iconic images, for sure. But what if I told you they're all wrong? Like, completely wrong. What if these facts are actually just myths and the reality is way, way more interesting? Okay, let's get into it. And we have to start with probably the most famous cartoon cliche of all time. Yeah, that whole thing about mice being obsessed with cheese, total myth. Turns out they've actually got a pretty big sweet tooth. They'd much rather have a piece of chocolate. So why the cheese thing? Well, it all comes down to history. Back in the day, people would store grain in jars and hang cured meats, but cheese was often just left out on a shelf. It was the easiest thing for a mouse to get to. They ate it because it was available, not because they were connoisseurs. All right, so let's tackle a few more myths, this time about how animals actually survive out in the wild. A lot of these are just simple misunderstandings of what they're really doing. So, the ostrich. We've all seen the cartoon, right? It gets scared, it shoves its head in the sand. But just think about that for a second. How would it breathe? The real reasons are actually way more practical and kind of clever. Okay, so there are two main reasons. First, they actually swallow sand and pebbles to help grind up their food. And second, they dig their nests in the ground. So when it looks like they're burying their heads, they're really just using their beaks to turn their eggs. They're not being cowards, they're being good parents. And what about the king of the dinosaurs? You know, the movies gave us a very clear survival guide for a T-Rex encounter. The only problem? It would absolutely get you eaten. So the myth, thanks to a certain movie, is that its vision is based on movement. Stand still and you're invisible. The reality? No. T-Rex had incredible vision, probably better than a modern hawk or eagle, with amazing depth perception. And if that wasn't bad enough, it had a ridiculously powerful sense of smell. Standing still would just make you an easy, motionless snack. Okay, speaking of massive creatures, let's talk about the biggest one on the planet right now, the blue whale. This thing is enormous. We're talking as long as 3 school buses. So you'd think it could swallow something huge, right? Like a car? Well, forget all those stories about whales swallowing people or cars or anything like that. That's just not how they're built. It's pure fiction. The absolute biggest thing a blue whale can swallow is a grapefruit. Seriously, that's it. Its throat is only about the size of a dinner plate. It's this massive, massive animal with a surprisingly tiny gullet. All right, for this next one, we need a super quick lesson on how vision works. You and I, we're what you call trichromats. We see 3 main colors, red, green, and blue. But most land mammals, like deer for example, are dichromats. They mostly see shades of blue and green. They can't really tell the difference between red and green. And this is why a tiger's orange coat is basically a superpower. To us, a big orange cat in a green jungle sticks out like a sore thumb. But to a deer, that orange fur just looks like another shade of green. The tiger blends in perfectly. It's the ultimate camouflage for the world its prey actually sees. Okay, so we've busted a bunch of myths. Now let's talk about some real-life animal superpowers that sound totally made up, but are 100% real. All right, here's a pop quiz for you. Who can hold their breath longer underwater? A dolphin or a sloth? I know, it sounds like a trick question. One lives in the ocean, the other is famous for being slow and hanging from trees. Seems like an easy choice, right? Well, believe it or not, the winner is the sloth. By a long shot, actually. A dolphin can hold its breath for about 10 minutes, which is pretty impressive, but a sloth can slow its heart rate way, way down and stay underwater for up to 40 minutes. That's just incredible. Okay, we all know the owl's famous party trick, right? The head spin. It's in every spooky movie. But can they really turn their heads all the way around, a full 360 degrees? Well, that's a bit of an exaggeration. The reality, though, is still mind-blowing.
An owl can turn its head 270 degrees in either direction. So no, not a full circle in one go, but that means it has a total range of motion of 540 degrees. It can basically see directly behind itself and then some, all without moving its body an inch.
All right, for our last section, let's talk about the cute ones, the animals we all think of as adorable and harmless. But nature has a dark side, and their behaviors can get surprisingly complicated and sometimes, honestly, a little brutal. Yeah, survival in the wild is tough, and it leads to some pretty harsh realities. Take pandas. They often have twins, but their bamboo diet is so poor in nutrients that they can only produce enough milk for one, so they have to abandon the other. Then you have cuckoos who lay their eggs in another bird's nest. When the cuckoo chick hatches, the first thing it does is push the other eggs or chicks right out of the nest. And even hamsters. A mother hamster under a lot of stress might actually eat her own babies to regain energy. It's brutal, but it's survival. So, the big takeaway here is that looks can be seriously deceiving. That leopard seal looks like it's smiling, but it's an aggressive apex predator. That adorable slow loris, it's the world's only venomous primate. It has a toxic bite. And yeah, even the panda we all love, it has incredibly powerful jaws and definitely can attack if it feels threatened. Cute doesn't always mean cuddly. So, from camouflage tricks to bizarre survival strategies, the animal kingdom is just full of surprises that totally challenge what we think we know. It really proves that the more we learn, the more we realize how much we got wrong, which just makes you wonder, what other incredible secrets are still out there, just waiting to be discovered?